A very warm welcome. Today we have Sunday, and yeah, last time when I created the accidentally live stream, I had to postpone, or we had to postpone our camping trip. That's the same in that situation, and that is the reason why yeah, today create a live stream about a new blog post I wrote. And maybe it is useful for you. And let's take a look what is about. It is about, yeah, a function performance test plan in JMeter. That was the first time I used JMeter as a testing tool. And I would say, yeah, I like it. And you can customize a lot. So, and that live stream, I would say, is from a beginner to intermediate level. So, I still not perfect in JMeter, but I think that is a good starting point for getting a basic overview how to handle that, and I want to share that with you. So let's take a look here at that blog post. Here's the blog post. I put everything in the description you can find. And what is the structure for today for that stream? Let me see here. First, I want to give you information what I use to show you for as an example as a system under test. Then we run the functional performance test in the JMeter UI. And then we run the functional performance test with a bash script automation. I love to create bash scripts. Bash scripts are easy to integrate in a lot of automation pipelines you want to do. And that is the reason why I like that. Okay, and automation is important in a lot of situations. So let's take a look into the system under test. By the way, when I take a look here, every code which you are going to see and which is available in the blog post is available on GitHub and you can inspect. So that is for the functional performance test example with the test plan from JMeter, and also for the implementation of the example application, so you can use that. I started already, yeah, the application, so it's running. The system under test. The system under test is a very simple application, Node.js application, which I excuse me, which I use to build extension API for Watson Assistant. That's a different blog post, but it is good to use in that context because it has, as we can see, it has no front end. It is just an server with an endpoint with API, and we can invoke that. And what you also can access, you can access it with here, or not access you. I provided also an extraction of the here for the extraction of the here for the example I use in Postman, so we can just invoke that and see what happens. So that is here the application, and what it does, I provide post request. It is secured with basic authentication, so that we have also the authentication topic. We provide a body in that format. Then we send that request, and when we send that request, we get that kind of result. And that is all about the example application, the system under test. So what we want to do in the functional performance test example is more a functional test, and that's the reason why I also call it function test. And also in the JMeter UI, you can enable an option where they say it's functional testing oriented. And the reason is I not only want to measure the response time, I also want to know and verify a specific content. And normally you expect when you're going to create performance tests that the application works properly and is more about really how it performs, yeah, and when you break it, when it performs. And in that case, it is a mixture of that, and we do not focus on a lot of users. That means not a lot, just one, yeah. And I show you how that can be structured, and so that is called functional performance test example. So with that in mind, you have seen, so that is the starting point, that is the system under test. And now we're going to take a look into JMeter directly. I already started JMeter, and I open up the performance test plan. A little bit about the structure in JMeter. When you have JMeter, that is the test plan, and you have several organization availabilities here. What is very important in that case is really the thread group. We can also call it a user group, and that is about grouping threads, people or user behavior in the same group, which normally do the same task more or less, and define the numbers of users which are going to execute. Maybe I can give loop information and so on, and that is what it is. And so you can see I just use that here with the number 1. And in addition, yeah, I already have here a loop information, but I added here an specific loop controller. So I want to control here with the information how many loops I will execute here in that specific thread, and that is, as you can see, is 1. Then what I want to do, I want to get the data from external. When I'm now going to execute it, I guess maybe it's better just to execute, not to talk too much. I just execute that example now, yeah. So not wait too long with all the information what it is here. So I will just execute it now. So when I just press here the execution, and we go to the result tree, and we can see here, yeah, cast body sample, it was successful. Otherwise it would be red and gives us some information here. So that was the request which was sent here, you can see, and that was the header, and that is the response data. And that's the same response data as we see in our, where is it? Yeah, here in our Postman. Yeah. Okay. With that, now we dig a little bit more into the structure of the JMeter test and how is it implemented and what elements are used. As I said, the basic was really here the organization with the thread group using a controller. And what I want to do also when I going maybe later on to iterate more than one question, I mean, because at the moment I currently only send one question. And what I provide inside the project, we can take here here a list, CSV file. Yeah, I need not to create a comma at the moment, because at the moment it's only the question inside. And you can see here there are 2 questions at the moment. And I want to iterate to that questions and use that list as an input for the test. And we can do that very simply with setting dataset configuration. Yeah, so that is the input, and you can specify the input here when you're going to set that here with the direct file name. And I directly want to point out what I what I figured out when I used that. It is great to have that, but I like a lot to have external variables and use environment variables for later automation purposes when I going to do the bash automation, for example, so to be more free in the configuration. A big functionality inside the JMeter is that you have the ability to use variables and properties. And you can use the variables and properties, as you can see here, in to position them to access the information and make your script your test plan very variable. And I also wanted to do that for that file, but that is not possible. So when you really want to have a totally free configurable test plan with input, with source input, with a CSV information, then I would say don't use that. Use other functionality which is also available inside JMeter. That means more scripting. Yeah. So now let's just go through the configurations which I used. Here we can see the GSR223 yeah, scripting. Yeah, so that means here we can use the Java Virtual Machine compliant scripting, and what is supposed from JMeter is Groovy. And yeah, I use Groovy. I never used Groovy before, but it's not difficult, and there is a lot material available out there that you can easily find solutions. So what I did here, and that is now we come to how to make that really variable and make it flexible. So when we load the test plan, so then as you can see here, I started the test plan with source environment variable. Maybe when you have seen or inspected other examples I created, I use that a very lot, because here you can also save information, yeah, in an environment variable, credentials and so on. So and you can put that very easily into your project and exclude it from your GitHub project with the git ignore. Just put it into the git ignore, showing an example, and then you do not share credentials. Yeah. So in that moment, it's not so critical because it's running locally and it is really, yeah, nothing really, yeah, which is needed to be very secret and so on. So you can just take a look at that. So that are the environments variable are going to load during the process when the initialization, when I do the initialization of the test plan. So here we see I load later on the user and password, the endpoint, the API path. I separated that because it's also separated into the tool. So when we take a look here, so where's the invocation? You can see we have the protocol, the server name, and the port. And here we have the path. And that was also the reason that I used that organization. Yeah, so that makes it easy. I just load that, and it is known. And I also, you see here, I also load the question list, but I don't use that environment variable in that example. And I also provide here a CSV path for result information. And what that means is when I execute the test, I also save information about the execution, about the success of the return values or not, into a custom result file. And that is what you can see here. And here I save it. So that you can see at the moment, I did it many times here. I just, maybe I save it. So, and execute it again. So let us see that. So, and you can see here that is created. So we can see here the number of the entry of the CSV file when I iterated that, the return, the response value, sorry, the response value, the response code of the invocation, the question, and the answer which is given here in that example. So I save that so that I can later on also verify, for example, does I get for a question the right answer? Yeah, and maybe you can guess what you can test with that. And yeah, that was one topic. And when I now go to increase the number of loops here, and it depends on what I have on different questions inside my CSV file, so I can loop that. So what I like here, that is a cool thing. So I can very easily clean that. So that is what you should ever should open up with options. The log viewer, yeah. Here you can see everything. Here I log a lot of information also, that when we're going to the scripting itself, we take a look in that. So so when I now execute it again, so that will be executed twice. So I start that. I load the environment variable. You can see what I create the credentials, and as you can see, I also do the encoding, yeah, base64 encoding, and yeah, that you can see it's done. As I said, it's done twice. So, and then we should get here. Oh, yeah, you can see that is for the next run. 1, 2, what was inserted. Okay. It does everything, and that is a good environment for the initial testing. So the initial testing that your test plan works in functionality. So then in the graphical user interface, that is very good to use that in that context. And it is strongly recommended that you do not do all the testing with the yeah, in the GUI mode, if you're really going to execute real test and load, I understand though that you should not do that, because there's enough to do for your system which creates the load. Um, so then you start that in the command line mode, and that will be later. But now we're going to the different elements, the scripting elements, and then we take a look into the automation. So we already covered the thread group. Yeah, just remember, okay, that is important. Later on, we could change that with the number of users, ramp up time, and so on. But I don't want to dig into all that stuff. It's just you are free to configure that. It is important that you have several levels here, and as you can see with the organization here, that the hierarchy counts, yeah, has an impact on the execution, what is done. So when you organize your test plan, and here I added some reporting information. So usually when you add an element inside, you can just put here element, and you can see here sampler. A sampler is what you are going to execute, what you are going to start in your JMeter test plan. You have several logic controllers, the preprocessor, what is done before you do a request, an HTTP request, for example, post, when you do it afterwards, assertions, so the verification, or like more the verification point. And what you also need, yeah, it's a little bit funny when you, yeah, because of the performance test, they only want to report if there is an error, yeah, and not if it is successful, yeah. So and when you do that, it is always, you have to think, okay, when something is true, that means you report an issue. Okay. Timing, fragment, and so on. So in the blog post I created, I also reference, yeah, so we can take a look here. Another blog post. I created in very small letters, is just here element overview, and with the element overview I want to show you, and call it a cheat sheet, that are all the elements I use inside that test plan. And what is the content here? Okay, a loop controller, variables. So here there are the variables we are going to use. We have here we have the loop controller and the counter. So that is the count, and then here we have the loop counter, and we can define the starting value. Yeah, that is important when we select maybe something from where we start from the counting related to the loop controller, and the increment. Yeah, so maximum of value and so on. And now we're going to take a look what I like with the environment variables. Here you can see how I load the environments variable into JMeter with Groovy. So, and you can see here that's always the same. So I put it here first. I load it from the system with the environment variable name, as you can see, and that's the reason why I do that with that source. You can see here is the name, yeah. So, and then I put it into variables and into properties. The difference between variables and properties is variables are really more related to the hierarchy of your test plan, and the properties, yeah, is like I would say the wildcard to all. Yeah, so and it is available in the entire plan. So, and at the beginning, I was not really sure where is it, and so I put it to both to get it. So, yeah, I know that's not good, and that is an area to optimize. So that's your turn. You can do that. That is just the starting point, and just I want to inform you. Yeah, there are topics you can improve, and yeah, but it's good for the starting point and getting a initial understanding. Okay, with that in mind, we know, okay, that is the preprocessor. That all happens before something before something starts. It's also here before we enter the thread group. Yeah, in case if you would have more thread groups. And then here we load, for example, the endpoint configuration. Yeah, that is also available inside the environment file. You can see, so that is the same. The same happens here, and that is the possibility to log the information. Yeah. So what is important later on, because you know I also provide the counting information, you can see, of the loop, and that is the variable name, and that is how I access later that information inside the script to write down in my own log the information. So with that in mind, yeah, and then we're going to the next topic, because we are going to send a JSON, yeah, a JSON payload, because we do a post, as you have seen into in the Postman. We use a post, and we have a JSON payload, a JSON payload, yeah, and that is where I'll get now the question, which were loaded by the CSV config. Yeah, so we have that here. That is the the variable name we have here in our comma delimited in our CSV file. So I take that variable, put it into variable, then I also put it available, yeah, to everywhere, and then I create that string. I show the payload in the log information, and then we're going to send. So now we have everything here. We have the protocol information, which we loaded from the environment variables. Yeah, that is all what you see here from the environment variables, and that variable, excuse me, that is from the preprocessor when we did the creation of the payload, and we put that in that variable. So, or excuse me. So, next step. So that is here. We exit that. So, and yeah, we want to authenticate. So what we need for the authentication, we're going to use an HTTP header, and the HTTP header, there we are going to load the encoded information for our base authentication, and that was done here. The base authentication, base 64 encoding here. You can see I do that encoding here to a string and then put it so, and I save it here with the property. Okay, everything is ready to send, and then when is sent, yeah, when the the sample, it's called the HTTP request sampler, is sent using the HTTP header manager. So, and then we're going to inspect the JSON content. So there is an assertion, which I call it here JSON content assertion. Maybe I should remove that because it's just a manual implementation of assertion. So, and here we take, and that is now a little bit more about the coding, which is, so first we get the previous, and that is also very important when you know the structure of your test plan and of the executions, the previous response code. So when that was executed, we take that response code, and I put that response code in a property I call response code. Then I get also the response code data as a string, so that the response data, not the response code data, the response data as a string. So I know that the response data contains JSON. Yeah. So, and that is the reason why I know that I can pass that as a JSON object, and I create a JSON object with that. Then I extract the specific value for the JSON path I know in that example, though, because here's retrieval details, document retrieval strategy. That is what we later want to verify. That should be LLM, and then we can save that. Oh, that is not needed. Yeah, so I do not really use that anymore. And then I have a variable to for message, because I create different kind of messages in an if-else statement. And you can see when the strategy is equal, when that is available and is equal, and the response code is 200, everything is successful, I say the verification means false. That means it's successful. So that means we give the information that was successful and there is no error. So that is, you need to sure that you get that. I log the information here as success. I save the answer which I want to extract also in my documentation later in the custom custom CSV creation later. Yeah, so that is what the answer is. Also log a status information. That is everything what happens when it's successful, and if it's unsuccessful, I get a response code. I log the question and the JSON format. When I expect that hopefully the error code contains a JSON format. Yeah, otherwise it will not work. And then I set the failure message, and failure and error. So that, because then it's true and everything is here listed at that. So that is really manual things to do. So manual step and pure scripting. So, and here that's much easier. You can also define here for a response assertion, and then you can just say here the response code pattern to test, and you can say okay, it's 200 or a regular expression you want to use. And here's also for JSON. Yeah, so, and then here you have to insert the JSON path and the expected value, and it also does it for you. Yeah, and that's more or less that's all. It's not rocket science, yeah. And as you can see, it's really also straightforward. And you can also create much more complex tests, and you are very free with all the variables to make that really flexible to you what you want to do. So, and now we come to the topic write the log. So first I started to write the log in a post-processor task, so that means after that. But then I figured out I had some problems with the variables, yeah, and it was not so clear to me. Yeah, I'm honest. And then what really worked well, I created an sampler. So that means that is which is executed here, and normally and sampler, as you can see, will be executed to report later on information about response times and so on. And then you can, maybe if you have different protocols and other things which are not given in the tool out of the box, you can implement it by yourself. And having the steps here, you can, I say sample results, set ignore, but here you can, for example, that is what I do, I sample results, set response data and so on, and you can invoke things and then react on that and providing about information about data and how the response has behaved. Yeah, so that is about a sampler, and in our case our sampler will not contribute to the, as you have seen in our summary of the sampler results. I cleaned it, yeah, so you cannot see it anymore. It is not a part. Yeah, it's not a part here. So when I remove that, it will be a part of the execution and shows the results. Or maybe, oh, let me do that. Oh, live. I start it again and okay, see what happens. Does it work? Execute it. Ooh. What was done? Oh, you can see here. And then it's happened. You can see. And what that is, what I reported. Yeah. That log file creation sampler, the value has written. And you can see that is what I created. And now we can remove that because that we do not need. Yeah. Huh. That was about the test configuration inside and insights about the scripting I did for that example you can use. And now we will close that. I have the configuration for 2 users on my side at the moment. We can leave that. That is okay. And then I just quit the JMeter. So we have done that. And now we run the functional performance test with the bash automation. So different kind of topic. The same happens here. Yeah. So when we now going to do start the automation, we source in the first step for sure the environment variables we need. So we also create some additional variables for our automation, and that is now really related to creating files later on and the structure, how we want to document and save, or where we want to place information. So here the name of the test plan we are going to use, and then I call that a test date, so that every file we are going to create gets the same prefix. Yeah, and that's the reason why I create here a variable called test date, and everyone now gets the same prefix when I create that. So, and that is the test result. You can see that is the test result I have. So that everything what you see here is executed at or was executed at the same time. Yeah. And here is the structure. I create a folder with the test date, which contains, and now we come to the topic, what I really like with JMeter. You have an HTML report, well, easy to navigate and see results. So it's that's very nice, and you do not have to do it by your own, but you can also do it by your own. That is the real test result, everything which is here. So that is maybe if you want to examine it by yourself and create your own kind of display of the information, you can do that. Here's the information based which the HTML report is based on. Okay, so and coming back to the creation of that, so you can say here we define all of that, and then we have the topic when we're going to create an HTML report. Maybe we want also to configure it, and the configuration of the HTML report, for example, is done in a property file from JMeter, and that property file depends on where your installation is. In my case, it is here, and what you are going to use, I use that user property file here. And how that looks like is like you can see here a lot of information. But what is important, you can what I do here, you can can define, for example, the name of the report and some other configurations, how the granularity is, and also you can also insert some custom graph definitions. What I'm going to use with the bash script automation, to solve that, I didn't took a look into all of the possible parameters which are available. I thought, okay, I just going to back up the last property file. I save a backup of that file, and then I just override the existing one with them. What I currently doing. And then I start a test with with the configuration I want to do. And that is all. And then I show, okay, here I start, and that are the parameters, the command line parameters to start. We have the test plan, the location where we are going to save the result file, and where we are going to save the HTML results. Path to the HTML results. And then, I do it in that case automatically. I open up the HTML results in the index HTML. And that's all. So let's execute that. We have done that. So, and now we are in the path. You can say here, call it from the shell. So the reason why I use the SH, I don't have to create an execution, or don't have to make the file executable. It's not but I started directly with the shell with the SH. I can start performance test, and now I start. Now let's see what happens. Start the test. My machine, it's trying to do that. Oh, you can see it's done. Oh, it's grading. Run and open the results. It opens the results. Not on that screen. It is on my other screen. So we can open up that here. Oh, can I put it here? Here is. And excuse me, that are the results now. So we can see, yeah, wow, everything has passed. Total, we had 2 samples. Yeah. It is important to understand what the sample means. The sample means for the execution is really when we have, for example, more invocations. So that means that is the reason with the total. Yeah, the total is if you would have inside maybe a first an authentication, and then we do navigation, and then the next steps and so on, and then that would be shown as each step here. Yeah, each sample, and then the total samples, nothing failed, everything worked well. We have, yeah, awesome response values, yeah, no errors. Oh, that is what you like. And you can see here that's the source file for the creation of that report. What was happened over the time, yeah, you can see not a lot. We are very less information we have here, because you have only and everything. That is all what I also like. With, you can see here with the response time, everything was below 1 second. Oh, isn't that nice? So everything is green here, and that is what I defined in the specification of the properties file. Yeah, I would say that's the end. Yeah, and as I said, every code is available on GitHub. You can use, and that is what I wanted to share in that live stream. So I would say then, let me see here. Yeah, we did that. Okay. I do not know how long it took. Yeah. Maybe it was useful to you. Yeah. So if you want to watch that or read that in addition, watch that in addition. I do not know what will be the next topic. When will be the next accidentally live stream? I got a question about some Node-RED stuff. So I have to verify it when I have time to do that, and maybe I will check it out, and yeah, and I hope tomorrow, yeah, we are able to go to the camping site, and we do not have to postpone it anymore. And I wish you a nice rest of the day whenever you watch that accidentally live stream. And then I turn up my music for the ending, and I say, have a nice time wherever you are and when you watch it. And I hope it was useful for you, and thanks for watching. And if you want, you can subscribe. Bye.